All right. So, hello everyone. My name is Ashish Gupta, and welcome to today's session on discussion on environment and public health as a career option. With me is Professor Sneha Krishnan, Associate Professor, Jindal School of Environment and Sustainability. And in this session, we are going to discuss about environment. We are just going to discuss about public health. In fact, I see this session as a very crucial session because currently humanity is facing two crises, that is public health and environment. So we are going to discuss both, but this session is mostly from students' perspective, wherein for a student, we'll be able to tell that how you can think of these options as a career, as a long-term career, to not only build something for you, but also to do something for your country, your community, and for the world, wherein you can contribute and build a career, which is, I think, what Ikigai says that, okay, if you do something that is good for you and also good for the world. So with this, let's start the session. Welcome, Professor Sneha. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you, Ashish, for having me.
Right. So, ma'am, please tell us something about yourself, and then we start to the session.
Oh, sure. Good morning, everybody. I'm glad that you're joining us today from wherever you are. My name is Dr. Sneha Krishnan. I am an associate professor at Jindal School of Environment and Sustainability. I actually teach and I do research on public health, environmental health, disasters, humanitarian response, and gender and technology. So quite a interdisciplinary background. Um, I have worked in the humanitarian sector for almost a decade, where we were part of like humanitarian response. Like whenever a disaster happens, I used to be part of teams which would go for response and recovery of communities. So supporting them to rebuild their homes, get their water and sanitation systems in place, providing healthcare, providing support for changing their behaviors, all types of risky practices, and trying to help them understand and overcome barriers to change their behavior. So that's been my background. I also did my PhD on a similar topic in South Asia. Yeah, that's a brief background.
That's a lot of work. Okay. So, ma'am, one thing which is currently happening is environment is a hot topic. Okay. Be it somebody who is associated with environment, or be it somebody like me who is from sales background, is also knowing that, okay, environment is something which is hot, right? There is a crisis that is going on. But as a layman, I don't know what exactly is the crisis, and a lot of other people don't know what exactly is the crisis. So can you tell us in detail in what exactly is happening? Also, I'll tell you one thing, because in some of the circles we see that, okay, is it a media hype? So also, if you can clarify that, is the media hype or something which is happening really bad, which is happening in reality?
Thank you, Ashish. I think this is a very relevant question, and especially if people like us
Yeah.
who think that climate change and environmental issues are happening somewhere out there and we don't
Right.
know about it. Especially for people like us who have some privileges, it's very difficult to understand the scale of the problem. Especially within my background of like working in disasters, I often find that people think it's something that affects somebody else and not us. And yes, people
Yep.
are aware, people might know of disasters that happen, but they think it's sometimes not related to them. So they are not causing it and it's not going to affect them.
Right.
But it's not true, actually, because across India or across world, we are suffering from the impact of climate change. We may not be aware of it because we have the means to overcome small challenges that we face because of that. Let me give you an example.
Right.
The heat wave in North India, for example. Every year, the temperatures are rising, and during summers, it's actually becoming very difficult. But for people who live in concrete buildings, it's not an issue because they can turn their AC on, they can travel in an air conditioned car. But it's affecting people differently. So, those who do not have such means, they are still living outside and they still have to travel huge distances to go to work. So, how is it affecting them? And I think those are the questions that we want students to understand, engage with. So, it may be happening out there and they might not be immediately getting affected, but how is it that they are contributing to these issues, and what can they do to change at a personal level, at a policy level, is something that they can learn through these courses that we offer at
Right.
JSPs. Yeah,
So what I've understood in Crux is that it's going to affect everyone sooner or later,
it is affecting. Yeah,
right? So it's not that we are safe from it or some part of the world is safe from it. It's going to affect every part of world,
yeah,
which is affecting now or some maybe in future,
yeah.
right?
Near future,
But
like immediate
mm,
future.
okay, okay. So what exactly are the uh, problems? Where it all started? Why is it happening? Where we went wrong?
This is such a important question, and I think students want to know immediately. And
Yeah,
I think it takes a lot of time and patience and critical understanding to understand different layers of where the problem is.
right,
And sometimes it's not easy. These are what we call as wicked problems. Like there's no one solution. There's no one problem. It's multi-layered. It's it's spread over a lot of time,
yeah,
and it's also impacting different peoples in different way. So, for example, if you just want to look at the problem of, say, climate change, it's not something that has happened over the last 10 years or something. We have all been aware that the temperature is going to increase more than 1.5 degrees for more than 3-4 decades. It's just that we've not accepted the scientific evidence that was coming out, and we've been questioning the evidence which was coming out for the most of the time. By we, I mean policymakers,
policymakers.
different kind of scientists who don't agree most of the times.
Hmm.
So I think there is no straight answer, but we want the students to get different skill sets, different disciplinary knowledges, so that they can look at one problem from different lens and try and understand how they can solve it. It's not solvable by one country or one region. It has to be a unilateral decision from across all the countries, and we are all trying to do that. So the recent COP26, which happened in Glasgow, United Kingdom, most of our viewers should be aware of it. If not, let me just give briefly an overview. So over the previous years, all international community members, they come and meet in these annual conferences and try and understand what countries can do so that they
Right,
can mitigate the impact of climate change. And it's not easy because every country has their own motivations, their own
right.
agenda for development.
Hmm.
Everyone wants to develop. We can't ask countries, like we can't ask a country like Bangladesh or India to stop, keep pausing your development projects
Yeah,
because we want to make sure that climate is not degrading. But that is not going to happen. We have such a huge population. We have to make sure that we meet their demands. So
right,
we want the students to learn how to cater to the demands and needs of the people. So basic things like food, nutrition, education. How do we continue to provide these while we are also tackling a crisis, be it environment or a pandemic, which we're all facing right now.
right.
So we have multiple challenges, and we want
Multiple channels. Right.
more people to be engaged and learning and getting skills to tackle this. So it's not, like I said, it's not going to be solved by one institution, one country. It has to be a unified effort.
And it's a long-term effort. It's not a short-term thing. It will take its own time.
No, I have spent like 15 years in this, like studying and working in this.
Right,
And I see new things cropping up. I see the same problems from a different lens each time I'm
right,
revisiting these.
right. So there's one more thing. I mean, I don't know if I'm seeing it personally or everyone is seeing it, but there are two different phases that we are seeing. We are seeing activism and we are seeing professionalism. So there's a lot of activism when it comes to environment. That means we see Twitter trends very frequently. We see a lot of media news very frequently, wherein people come, they have a placard, they are holding the rallies and everything. Do you think this activism is solving any problem, or we need more professionals to solve this problem? Or maybe, I don't know, but do we have sufficient professionals to solve this problem?
That's a very interesting question. And I think the current role played by media and social media both, they are giving a lot of ready-made information to people who are interested in these topics. So we find a lot of youngsters like Disha, Ravi, who have been influenced by Greta Thunberg, of course, and many such activist students from Northeast India as well, in India, in Delhi, who are taking up actively these issues. And they both are important, I think. I don't want to devalue one against the other. I think the more pressure we all can generate on those who make decisions and advocate for issues faced by people whom we don't even know. So, migrant laborers, when the pandemic happened, they all had to leave these big cities, right? So, we want them to clean our houses and build our homes. But
Right.
when there is a crisis like a pandemic, we want them to go back to their countries, go back
So,
where you came from.
yeah,
So then where is the empathy? So I feel, yes, both activists and professionals are important, but they also need to, both of them need to have some skill sets, need to know how to get the right information at the right time,
right.
which is not, because the problem with social media is also there's a lot of misinformation. So if there is a group which tells you that climate evidence is strong, there is also people who discard this kind of evidence. So depending on
Yeah,
what sources you're looking at, you will get contradictory information.
true.
So proper training helps students to understand what is real evidence as well, like what is reliable, what is valid
Right.
versus what is misinformation,
Correct.
and both for public health, especially for COVID, you've seen, right?
Hmm.
There's so many
Yeah,
remedies which have come up.
misinformation.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we have also seen in Western world anti-mask protests.
exactly. And
So
anti-vaccine, like there was so
anti-vaccine. Yeah,
people who would like the recent example of the sportsman. Let's not name him. Oh,
Novik Djokovic, this tennis player who is
uh,
in Australia currently, and there's a fight between government and this tennis player over
yeah,
vaccine.
over vaccine, and how important it is to understand that one person may not be an expert on health, but it's a
Yeah,
preferences, and how will that impact everyone else, right?
right.
So yeah, it is something that we should understand, even if for activists or for professionals, how to
Hmm.
have access to reliable and valid information
Yeah,
in the language that they need. So many
right.
activists do not speak English.
Hmm.
Hindi is not the language for everybody. So
Yes.
how do we use a level playing platform where language is easily available, like in multiple languages,
Hmm.
the same information without like discrediting. So you can
Right.
tell mask is important in different languages, but why is it
Right.
important? Why,
Right.
in what way should people wear it?
Hmm.
There are so many layers in how information is passed on as well.
Hmm.
So I think those are all really important things which students can unpack and unlearn.
So, in fact, you have given a very good example. In fact, when COVID started, one of the posters, like you said, that the way people understand. So, one of the posters I saw, and that was an eye opener for me. I saw a poster wherein there were three illustrations. So, one illustration says that there are two people. If one person is wearing a mask, it's saving the other person 20%.
Correct.
If both are wearing the mask, it's saving both 60%. But if both are wearing mask and they are 2 meters apart, it's saving 100%.
Yeah.
Right. So, like for me, it was kind of very easy understanding that why mask is important. So you have absolutely given the great idea that the way people understand, we need to explain. So I was asking about this professionalism versus activism, and you have given the answer. Both are important, both have their own importance, both have their own fields, and both have the responsibility towards the society. Now, I want to ask you, because you have spent 15 years in this field, what is the current state of professionals in this field? Do we have sufficient professionals to tackle the problem?
Um, no, I think there is need for more. There is need for more professionals who think differently. So I don't want to say that we don't know enough. Like there are not many people. I am aware of a huge network of people who do great work. But what happens is, say for now 15 years, if I worked, I start thinking in a certain way. And
Right,
the reason why I love teaching is because now I'm learning how to challenge my own ways of doing, ways of thinking about the world. So we need new professionals because they think differently. The current generation has access to information, so they
right,
are coming with like a ready-made information already. So what they do is actually challenge the ways in which old professionals were working. Old, even I'll consider myself as old, but they challenge the way in which development is being done, for example. They question what they've been told about what development means. So we need more professionals so that we change the old ways of working and old systems of getting things done. So if that is why we need professionals who get different kinds of training. So be it environment, be it public health, be it law, we want students to be able to come from different lens, get the expertise within those disciplines, and look at these issues, these global issues through their disciplinary lens and training. So I think
Right.
no, we need more people, we need more hands on the ground, and more professional and trained hands on the ground.
Right. So when I say like you have experience and exposure in both public health and environment, when I say if a person, if a student, right, who is say 15, 16 years of age, they will be completing their class 12 and then they'll be thinking about a career. What should be the beginning point for somebody to think about environment or public health as a career option? Who should be thinking about it?
I can't say everybody should be thinking about it,
Yeah.
but I do think that a lot of us, with the pandemic, and even professionals, like even people who have worked without getting these specialized degrees, have have recognized that understanding of environment and health both are important. So many people are actually going back to the school. School by mean, what I mean is going back to theory, going back to knowledge base to
Right.
understand what are the different issues and what has been done already in the past or by different countries to solve this crisis.
Right.
And what is the extent to which this crisis is happening? Because these things we cannot understand from media alone or through social media. It needs a dedicated knowledge provider, a reliable access to libraries and information. Not everyone can afford that. So, therefore, I think each one, if they are really interested to take up action against this environmental crisis, should be encouraged to consider environment studies as
Right.
opportunity to do better. So I think that is the foremost criteria. Like if they want to do something to solve this crisis,
Right.
uh, yes, then maybe they should look at a career opportunity or a educational opportunity in this field. Second question that they want to ask themselves is, um, do they have the dedication to continue doing a long term work? It's not
Hmm.
going to be solved as soon as they finish their degree. It is something that they
True.
want to continue to work. So
True.
the dedication and motivation, they both are important, I feel, for
Right.
students.
Right. So now what happens is when a student starts researching, like for career in environment, they get to know about two terms, environment and sustainability. And there starts a basic confusion that are these the same thing? Is it there's a difference? If there's a difference, what is the difference? If you can help us know this as well.
Yeah, especially in a school like environment and sustainability, what is the difference? Yeah. Um, so the major difference that I would like to say is environment. So when you look at development, when you look at any kind of progress countries are making, environment is just one part of it. There's also economic development. There's also social development across like different domains. See,
Right.
education, nutrition, transport, urbanization, etc. So when we are focusing on environment, we want to center the development on the basis of environment. So as long as we are not extracting too much from nature, making sure that we have resources for a future as well, that is where sustainability comes into place. But there are
Okay.
several other aspects in development, which once you start looking at development from a sustainable lens, you can re reconfigure all the other ways in which, say, for example, roads are being built, waste is being generated. So that becomes a wider domain. So those who want to get a degree in environment so that they can work to protect our nature, to grow along with nature, that gives a different set of skills. Whereas those who want to work in development to improve the community and to make sure that they progress well, those those will require a different set of skills.
Okay. So broadly, if I ask you like a student who opt for environment and a student who opt for sustainability, what would be the broad career options that they'll be looking forward to once they graduate or they go on to do PG and then start working? What would be the broad career options or career opportunities for them? You're mute.
I think for environment, it's quite specific. So we want our students who get this degree to be able to work with organizations who try to protect different parts of different elements of nature, different elements of environment, be it
Right.
human life conflict.
Mm.
So centering the career opportunities around nature, around the environment, and how do we protect and conserve our natural resources.
Okay.
Whereas for students who want to look at a wider lens, so not just about nature, but also about people, also
Mm.
about our culture, also about the way we develop, I think that gives them a broader lens. And for them, the career opportunities would then be working with NGOs, working with corporate sectors. And I think they both sound very similar, but actually, the purview of what they will study and what they will be able to do with these degrees is quite different. And I hope I'm able to like give some understanding of how you can center yourself and get these skills to be able to work with NGOs or to negotiate with different stakeholders. So, be it in policy as well. So, if you, for example, just if we look at the idea of being able to work with policymakers, so a degree with environment will enable you to work within the environmental domain and climate change ministry,
Mm.
where you can um, come with the expertise of having learned about environment. But if you come with sustainable development wala degree, then you will be able to work across the board. So
Right.
if you are passionate about education, you can work with the education ministry and officials who department of education. If you're passionate about health or gender, you can then work with reproductive health or women and child development. So I think as you get this training, then you can determine what career opportunities you can carve for yourself. And hopefully, this degree will give you with that understanding, both these degrees in those respective fields.
Right.
I
Right.
hope I'm able to clarify that.
So, so to our viewers, I just want to update that at Jindal School of Environment and Sustainability (JSES), we offer two courses. We offer BA Honors Environmental Studies, and we offer BA Honors and BSc Honors Sustainable Development. And that's the reason it was important to tell you that why these courses are different with their different purview, different career options, and a lot of understanding in terms of what we can offer, we can give back to the society. Now, ma'am, coming to public health, because in this session we are also talking about public health, and since last 2 years, we all are facing one of the humanity's biggest health crisis, right? This COVID-19. So as of now, irrespective of who we are, we all have suffered because of this. And we have understood the importance of health, right? We get the questions from student and okay, there is one thing called health. We know doctors are there, hospitals are there. But what is public health? Is there a difference between health and public health? Are these same? Uh, what exactly is public health?
It's a very challenging question because the pandemic has like made people aware of what are the problems within the health system, especially in India, but also globally. Uh, and it's also made us realize that perhaps there are not many professionals who understand health in a broad and holistic way.
Right.
So, public health would be different from, say, medical training, for example, be
Mhm.
it doctors or nurses or paramedics. So, people who are at the forefront, they play a different role. But
Right.
there is also a larger role that we have to play as professionals who will understand how improvement in public health is important through policy, through practice,
Mm.
through advocacy as well. So, for example, we all knew that frontline workers during the pandemic were undertaking a huge task, but
Right.
there was also people who were translating this kind of information, like the poster example that you gave. So there
Yeah.
were also professionals who were actually looking at data and looking at how to communicate that data to a larger people. This is also a public health task.
Correct.
There were also people who were researching on public health, on trying to understand what is happening across the globe, why Southeast Asian countries were able to respond better, why US failed, why countries in Europe failed. So there's also an element of research. There's also an element of trying to understand governance. So in health system, we talk about 6 building blocks as per WHO. So there is finance, there's technology, there's medicine, vaccine, and vaccine is not just about COVID. If you all remember, when you were children, we had to
Yeah.
take few tikakaran.
Correct.
So it was for polio. There's also
Mm.
for different diseases which are endemic in different countries.
Right.
So that is also part of our health system. So health system in itself is quite broad,
Right.
and it is not just the purview of doctors or it. Yes, that is also important, but there's also other ways in which we can strengthen our health system through learning and through understanding. I would also like to link public health with environmental health as well, because I teach planetary health at JSES. Um, it's one of the core electives that our students have to take for environment and sustainability, where
Okay.
they are understanding the impact of how health of people, health of animals, health of the planet. There's a concept called One Health or planetary health, where we have
Okay.
to develop in such a way that everyone's health and well-being is also taken into account. So the example of heat wave that I gave,
Right.
that's an environment crisis, but it's also a health crisis because it will lead to, say, so if there's like higher temperatures and people are exposed to it, they'll get sunburned, they'll faint, there will be dehydration. So every environmental crisis also has an health aspect.
Right.
That is why it's very important to understand that both the schools, environment and sustainability, and public health, have quite an interdisciplinary nature. So when you come out with this training, you will be able to look at it from different lenses as well. And I think that is a big advantage for someone to take up courses in JGO, because you get
Right.
this interdisciplinary training.
Right. So I just got this curiosity. You said that every environmental crisis is also a health crisis. Is the
Absolutely.
reverse also true?
Yes, it's quite circular in nature because
Okay.
as long as we continue to, for example, I have worked a lot in nutrition.
Right.
Uh, in Orissa, for example, there were villages in which there were 20 infants who were dying because of malnutrition. So
Okay.
before they turn like 2 years of age,
Hmm.
we lose children because their mothers do not have adequate nutrition. The family do not have access to nutritious foods, income to be able to buy nutritious foods as well.
Right.
And this on the periphery doesn't look like an environmental crisis. But the reason why certain sections of our community do not have access to these basic requirements, whereas we are wasting food in our urban houses.
True.
Every day you will see that you're throwing or discarding food which is lying in the fridge for a long time. So when you look at sustainable development, you also have to look at this inequities in our society. And therefore, I think environment, development, and public health, they are all related. So if one of the domain is affected, everything else will also be affected.
Oh, right. So now we are at a very important juncture that everything is interconnected. At least what we are discussing is interconnected. So now let's come to JGU because at the end we represent Jindal Global University. So what do we offer when a student opt for these courses at Jindal? What do we offer? One, and that second is what is life as a student here? I mean, you have spent some time, you know that what is as a student, what's the experience at Jindal, and is there something different that they do not experience anywhere else? Something.
I think students are much better placed to say that, but what we do at Jindal is something that I can emphasize on. I think in my experience, the faculties that I work with and the courses that they offer, um, it is very unique and different from other universities, not just in India but also abroad, because we are trying to focus on issues that countries in the global south are facing. So it's easy to go to UK or US and learn about problems in India
Hmm.
or Bangladesh, but it's different to study in a Indian university and to understand from here what is it that different actors are doing to understand and tackle these issues, rather than going to a Western university and learning how they are solving the issues in the global south. That is the first and foremost difference.
Right.
The second way in which we are emphasizing that they get a better quality education is by having, I can't say professors like me, but those who have gone abroad, have studied, and then come back and want to change educational sector in India. So yes, training in global north is still valued, but then
Right.
we are actually attracting these professionals who have gone abroad, who have taken the training, and bringing them for our students, so that they don't have to spend so much money to go abroad for an international education. They can be in India and learn from these experts, international experts, and be able to do much better by being in the country and changing the region around them.
True. So
And
in fact, if
experience for
yeah,
student, just to like
yeah,
highlight,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think we have a great campus in Haryana. Also, there is so much scope for students to be able to learn in classroom, but also apply on the ground. I think a lot of our professors are actually looking at work in Haryana, within Sonipat, to be able to, and Delhi, of course, to be able to give a platform for students to learn and apply it in projects, apply it through research. So it actually gives them field, a playing ground where they can apply what they are
right,
becoming in classrooms.
right, right. So if I share my experience in this perspective, like I have seen multiple universities. Okay, everyone want to become better. They have infrastructure, they have everything. They have student good courses because this is the basics. What has really impressed me in Jindal is the professionals, the faculty pool. And this is like probably one of the best faculty pool in India, or at least in South Asia, right? You have most of the professionals who have their PhDs abroad. And when I went into research to understand ki why this really matters, I understood that this global exposure actually is helping students. So, like you said, the student do not have to go abroad to understand because the faculty is already there who have understood and have exposure of that. Second is this is what I tell students also. They have great connections being here.
Mm.
Now, imagine Armin is here. Armin has spent his time at Stanford. When he is coming here, he is also bringing his connections, which can help students going to Stanford. Right? Cosmin is here. You are here. So we have so many faculty, the kind of faculty pool, plus the kind of diversity that we have. So we have faculties who are from India, we have faculties who are from abroad. This gives a lot of exposure to a student, which is unique in a way, which a student do not get anywhere else. And this is what I always tell that the unique thing about JGU.
Absolutely, and I don't disagree with you at all. And also learning from each other. So I think the other best part about being a student, perhaps, is also the cohort that they come with. I think at least in environment school, we have students from all across, not just India, like the remotest corners of India, but also abroad. And um, what I find is that they learn a lot from each other as well. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
our professors are trained in pedagogies which enable these kind of peer-to-peer learning, rather than
right.
just professors coming in and telling them that this is the knowledge that you have to get exposure. They're also learning from each other's experiences as well. So I
Mhm.
think that is very rich for students who who want to decide if they want to come to Jindal Global University.
Plus the interdisciplinary nature of university, which gives a boost to student to interact with each other. Like you're coming to study environment, but you are also interacting with a student who is studying law or
Yeah.
who is studying business. So you have the opportunity to learn every aspect.
Yeah, and of course, they can also learn in those schools as well. I think
Yeah,
we do offer electives, cross electives,
yeah,
where students, if
mm,
they're interested in topics which is being offered in other schools, they are more than welcome to take up these courses as well and research and work with other professors, interact with them as well. So I think both, not just for students, but also across faculty, we have these kind of interconnections, which is
right.
actually going to be very great. You won't find this perhaps in international universities because they are all very secluded. If there's an engineering degree, like I have been in an international university, if there's an
Mm,
engineering degree, they'll only speak to each other. If there's a development school, they'll only speak to each other. This interdisciplinarity is very rare.
right.
It's not easy also. So I think that's something that is very appreciable.
Correct. So, ma'am, we have talked a lot about environment. In terms of public health, uh, as I said, in starting also there is very less awareness in terms of a career in it or a course in public health. So, what do you think are the future career options for a student who opt for public health? Because see, I'll tell you the typical student mentality is that they look for a course in terms of career options. Why management is so popular? Because they see that around them there are a lot of people who are working and they have done some BBA or MBA, or there is some business that they have to handle because of which they are doing MBA. Similarly with law also. But in terms of public health, a lot of students are going for health because they know being a doctor or in that health criteria you fit in. But in terms of public health, if a student opt for, what are the future career options that they look forward to so that they are encouraged to do this course?
Um, it is not an easy answer because the benefit of being a doctor is very lucrative, but the nature of Indian education system is such that not everyone can uh, invest the time and resources to be a doctor or to be a nurse or to even be a specialist in any way. But a
Right.
degree like public health actually, instead of a management degree, would actually give you an understanding of the principles of public health. So in a management school, you will learn how to allot resources, how to budget, finance, etc.
Mm,
But in a public health course, or if you're interested in pursuing a career in public health, you want to be able to understand what are the principles of public health, what is happening globally across different countries, what models of health system are actually working, what kinds of insurance, what kinds of vaccination programs, what kind of government investments are required. So there is a vast disciplinary knowledge which they will get if they do a generalist degree like a public health instead of a specialist degree like medicine or nursing or
mm,
dentistry, for example. And I have met several professionals who have trained as a doctor but have actually expressed their dissatisfaction of having to be at the curative end. So, as a doctor or with these degrees, you are just solving one problem at a time. You're not able to look at the problem as a systems level problem. So, a degree like public health will actually give you a systems understanding of what is happening within a health system and how to improve that or how to strengthen that rather than looking at it from a management level.
right. Right. So we'll come to our further questions. One student has asked this question that do we offer 4 years degree as the Western world ask for 4 year undergraduate degree for the PG options?
Um, I think we have a 3 degree program,
Yep.
3 year degree program at the moment. But there are some pathways through which students can actually continue to do one additional year under the master's program. Yeah, maybe you integrated masters or something. So perhaps Ashish, you can uh, confirm whether I'm right or wrong.
Yeah, so this is exactly absolutely correct that we have 3 years program, but there are pathways through which a student can opt for the program wherein a 4 year degree is asked for, right? Because a lot of our students from law, from liberal arts, from management opt to go to do their PG. So it's totally depends on the university's requirement, and then you need to fulfill those requirements. Plus, we have lot of MOUs worldwide. So as of now, we are in association with about 300 plus international universities. We have different associations with them. We have association in terms of common research. We have faculty exchange. We have teachers, student exchange, and lot of other collaborations. So that is also useful for student plus summer school. So a lot of our students go for summer schools also, various summer schools for various programs.
Yeah, so at JSCS, I'm also the International Affairs Vice Dean. So we actually place a lot of value on these kind of collaborations for research, for teaching, for faculty engagement, for student exchange. And since we are a new school, we are not as illustrious as the law school or business school, but actually students have already started benefiting because we offer cross collaborative lectures. This semester, we are organizing uh, uh, collaborative World Cafe style lectures with University of Carleton. There's going to be a huge faculty exchange with Federation University. There's one with International Crescent and Red Cross Society, where our students can actually go and volunteer with them. So there are a lot of opportunities that students can come in where they can get a hands-on experience with these kind of collaborations, and also different pathways that they can explore um, if this is what interests them.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, ma'am, we have discussed a lot of things. We have started with environment, we have come to public health, career options, and everything that we have discussed in between. Uh, as I started in beginning, that a student has a lot of doubt. Mostly they think about that, do I have a career in this?
Mm.
Right? This is what, in fact, parents are more concerned about this. That, okay, you opt for something, but do you have a career in it? Right.
Yeah.
So, from your point of view, we are discussing on environment and public health. Do a student have career in it after 3 years?
I have to say yes, but I also want to use this opportunity to help those who are listening to us, so students and parents and influencers, to understand that more than career, I think students should value the knowledge and the exposure that they are getting. Yes, careers will happen if that is what they want, but I look at life and pedagogy in a way that you have to understand and work and continually refine and revisit your understanding so that you're able to work in different settings. So, career opportunities are numerous. It's how you understand, how you tackle, how you critically define what is it that you want to do. And we have our faculty members who are there to guide you, who are there to encourage you to try new ways, to try challenging ways.
Right.
And we need students who want to think out of the box and
Hmm.
not go the standard route of what is expected from them. So I think it's time to like challenge these assumptions that students are expected कि ये पढ़ाई किया तो ये career मिलेगा. So
Right.
I'm different. I think differently in that way. Uh,
Uh,
just a
plus,
personal example, Ashish. So
yeah.
I trained in psychology.
Hmm.
My undergrad was in psychology. And then I went on to do a master's in disaster management. I worked in a humanitarian sector. My PhD was in environmental engineering. And now I teach in the environment school. And I have experience of working in nutrition, of working with statisticians, of doing research, of doing coordination, of writing proposal grants. So I think more than careers, students have to focus more on learning opportunities, on opportunities to gain more experience rather than how much money they're going to get after they finish this course and what is the placement. And I think that is what will be more rewarding rather than looking at career opportunities.
Right. And I also think there's a way that most of the careers have rewards if you are interested in that. So I believe that your future is all about your professional qualification plus your potential to deliver.
Exactly.
Right. So we have one more question wherein a student has asked that I want to know that I am a medical aspirant. So how does switching to public health gonna help me in my career if I don't go for medical sciences?
Like I said earlier, there are two aspects to health. One is preventive and one is curative. So, a
Right,
medical degree will help you to understand the problems, but you will only deal with the symptoms. So, if you have a some pain in some part of the body, as a doctor or as a medical professional, you will learn how to treat the symptom, but through a degree which is more general and which is giving you a understanding of the system, you will try to look at why is this pain to this particular woman. So she's a laborer, for example, and she's carrying these heavy things throughout the day. You can't solve that with a medical degree, but if you have an MPH, perhaps you try to look at the root causes of these problems and these symptoms and learn how to address those rather than just trying to fix the problem where you see it.
right, right. And also as a public health professional, you work in research and policy making also. So in broader aspects, you are able to set the policies, understand what exactly at a mass level we are going through and how it can be resolved.
Yeah, and it's a systems level problem. Like I said, it's a wicked problem. You
Mm,
can't just change one thing. So medical degree will give you the years of experience and expertise to be able to do that one thing. Whereas
right,
a degree in MPH will give you a systems level understanding to and disciplinary understanding of what is it that a doctor will do and how is that enough or how is that not enough and how can policies change so that they can enable what the symptoms are manifesting at the ground level. I think that is why more students are encouraged, are drawn towards a course like MPH. And even if they train as a doctor, they would still want to come and do a generalized public health masters because that will help them to solve the bigger problems rather than just focusing on the symptoms.
correct, correct. And also in terms of when I say career options, in my understanding, when I tell students, I have divided these career options in two broad categories. One is the research and education, and second is professional work. So when I say research, that means you can go into research, you can go in policy making, you can become an educator, right? You can go on to do your PG and PhD and then become an educator. When you come to work, you have two areas. One is social work. You can associate with NGOs or teams or organizations which are working in social work, and you can then associate with corporates,
Mm,
right? So you can work with corporate, like in environment. We are seeing that green energy, uh, sustainable products. This is the new trending thing. Electric vehicles. We are seeing a rage in electric vehicles, right? Recently, Tesla we have seen, right? So Tesla is a huge example, which the whole world is following. Green batteries is a new big thing. Wind energy, there's a lot of investment which is happening. Solar energy, a lot of investment which is happening. Recently, we have seen, ma'am, I don't know if you have seen this news, but in Gujarat, Vadodara, this is the world's first solar bridge that they have created.
okay, no, I
Yeah.
didn't know
Okay.
it.
So this is a bridge, but all the solar plates are above this bridge. Okay. So this is a huge reservoir resource for solar energy.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I think you're right, Ashish. The traditional career opportunities do not hold any longer because
Yep.
the technology has evolved so much that maybe governments and organizations do not have the ability to innovate and change fast. And
Right.
we are seeing a lot of students who are also entrepreneurs. A lot of our students who come to study environment are actually doing a lot of small businesses on the side as well, and actually
Right.
they're learning how to do how to apply the principles of environment and sustainability in their own small businesses as well, which
Correct.
I think will not happen if you do a master's or a MBA program or a BBA
Right.
program.
Right.
So I think these kind of courses will give you I'll reiterate that it will give you the disciplinary understanding of principles, of ways of working, of what is important when you study environment or when you study health. And in each of these sectors, in each of these disciplines, there is scope for small entrepreneurs to use technologies to do something different within like available means and resources.
True.
And yeah, the world is like an oyster then for them. They can apply these ideas and try and see what works for them.
Exactly. And in terms of corporate, also, I tell students that, see, as any manufacturing and production unit, one is they have some impact on environment. Second is they have some impact on health of their workers.
Mm.
So in both of these fields, you have some work opportunities everywhere,
Yeah.
right? So it's all about, and I think India is a huge platform for anyone to explore their careers in such fields.
Yeah. Corporate may there's also corporate social responsibility,
Yeah, CSR.
which they apply money for development projects, and you will find that not everybody understands development because they are so trained to uh, maximize profits in a corporate setting that to be able to apply money, and development is very long. It takes a lot of time to have for any change to happen, and
Right.
that requires a different kind of patience, different kind of skill set. And working in CSR where resources are available but people do not have the right training and right skill
Mm.
sets, that is also a huge opportunity for students to make change happen there as well. So we encourage students to understand the genesis of CSR. There are our faculty members who offer these kind of courses in project management, in understanding proposals and writing research programs. So yeah, I think there is a lot of scope, and we are looking forward to any other.
Right. So, all right, this is it from our end. Sneha ma'am, thank you so much for coming, joining this session, and giving us all the important insights, which will be very helpful for students right from the career options, how this course works, what exactly is the problem
Yeah.
on ground, and how we are going to solve or we can solve. I encourage our learners and students to visit our website, which is jgu.edu.in. You can go on our environment school page, you can go on our public health page to understand what all we offer, to understand our courses, to understand the curriculum, the faculty profiles, and also download our brochure to learn more about these courses. Also, in case you have any further query, our admissions team is here to help you. You can call us, mail us, WhatsApp us to ask your queries. So, Sneha ma'am, once again, thank you so much for joining this session. I'm looking forward for more such sessions with you, wherein we discuss about these important career options. Thank you so much. Have a nice day, ma'am.
Thanks, Ashish. All the best to you too.
Thanks a lot,
And
ma'am.
to those who are listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you.